Bang! Neeves Knives. I'm Jared. My lovely wife Kara's at work, and today I want to do a little knife talk. And I stole this topic from Alchemy 1. So, if I can remember, I'll link his channel down below. I'm not sure if he knows who I am, but I obviously know who he is. And I thought this was a cool topic, so I'm going to talk about it a little bit myself. So, the topic is context. Context matters. So, like when somebody asks a question, like say, what's the best knife? Well, the first question you're going to have is, for what? And because it always matters. What are you using it for? Where do you live? What kind of conditions are you going to be in? You know, what size hand do you have? Because all those things are going to matter. What's your budget? Because there is no best. Just like if I say, you know, what's the best sharpening stone? Well, what type of steel are you sharpening? How often are you going to be sharpening? And context always matters. So he was talking about stones. And in his video, he was talking about that he was getting back into freehand, that he has the KME. I think he said he had the KME, but he used to do lots of freehand, and now he's wanting to get back into it because of how versatile it is. Like, you can't carry a KME system around with you. Like, say if you are a traveling construction worker, and you have your pocket knife and you love your knife and you use it all the time. In construction, you constantly use your knife. But to keep it sharp, you might get a chip in your blade that you're going to want to get out that night, you know, at your hotel, in your truck, or whatever. So having a KME system just isn't an option. So knowing how to freehand is the best deal. And even being able to freehand, like say with the stone in your hand, that's a great way to learn how to sharpen freehand. Or you can just carry around one stone, one good stone. You can lay it on the countertop of wherever you're at and you can sharpen it up, you know. So it's a lot more versatile to be able to know how to freehand. But that doesn't mean it's the best. You know, just like the stones. What are you using the stones for? Like I said, what kind of steel? What's your budget? What kind of edges are you trying to get? All these things matter. Now, when somebody asks me what's the best stone to learn how to freehand off of, I have 3 answers. I always have 3 answers. And the reason why is because of the maintenance point. So I always say diamond plates, aluminum oxide, or Arkansas. Now, I could say ceramic, but those are expensive. So I say those 3 because they are very low maintenance. They're easy to sharpen on. They're easy to learn how to sharpen on. And you can get them relatively cheap. They're not that expensive. Now, diamond plates, yes, they can be... Woo! That's a badass knife right there. They can be a little expensive, but they sharpen fast, and it'll sharpen any steel. So will the aluminum oxide, but it won't be as fast unless if you have a very aggressive aluminum oxide. Like, I've got a really aggressive one that works actually relatively fast. It'll sharpen M390 no problem. But context matters. Just like if somebody says, well, what's the best blade shape? Well, for what? Are you skinning animals? Are you doing utility cuts? Are you just doing, you know, EDC tasks? Are you in construction? Do you hunt? Are you outdoorsman? Do you find yourself cutting rope? There's so much more to it than just the best. What's the best? Now, I know what's the best for me, but for somebody else, there's always the context. So when you think about asking somebody or a reviewer, or even if you're just thinking about it, try to think about it, because you can buy something and just because the hype is so hyped up and people are loving it and this and that, but then you'll get it and you'll be like, this sucks, because it's not for you. You got to think about the context of what do you need it for? What are you using it for? Where do you live? You know, just like all the quick questions about yourself and what you're doing with it. So try to think about that when you're trying to answer any question. Even when it comes down to what's the best clip. Now, I know what the best clip is for me, but for you, it might be different. Some people love deep carry clips. Some people don't. Some people hate deep carry clips. If you're a female, you might not want a deep carry clip because you have shallow pockets. So you need a clip that sits down on the blade or on the knife a little bit farther rather than like something like this, so that you have something to grab onto and it leaves you just a little bit of area to keep the knife in the pocket. But now if I told you a deep carry lynch clip and then you can't even fit it in your pocket because it's too deep, it might not work for you. So context always matters. And I love that Alchemy won in his video. He was getting back into freehand and how he talked about how much easier, well, I'm not going to say easier, but how freehanding is so much more versatile. You know, you don't have to have a system. You don't have to hook up a system and get it all ready. You can literally just have your stone. You can live with just one stone. But if you have like a 3-stone setup, you can carry them basically anywhere with you. Or you can just pull them out, put them on the table or the counter and go to it, rather than setting something all up. And, you know, like, it's just so much more versatile. And I want to talk about, it is so much more enjoyable. Now, I've had fixed angled systems, nothing like I haven't had the KME, so I'm not going to pretend like I have, but freehanding is so satisfying. It's so satisfying to know how to do it, and then to do it yourself and to come up with an incredibly sharp edge. To be able to sharpen something up to either a mirror edge or even just something that's so sharp that you lay a hair on it and it just disintegrates. There's something to it. It's therapeutic and it's so enjoyable. It kind of adds something to the knife passion. And I'm not knocking KMEs or Landskis or any system, because that's awesome. If that's how you want to sharpen and you get your enjoyment out of that, then more power to you. But I do feel like there's a little bit more passion in freehand that you can't get from a fixed angled system. I feel like you can just enjoy it so much more. And when you learn, ooh, we pulled out the Griffin. When you do learn, it's so much easier. I don't know about faster, but it can be faster. But I don't know if that's true or not. Now, the thing is that once you learn how to freehand, you can literally buy those little stones and just put it in your hand and sharpen your edge right up. Which is awesome, especially if you're a user. Now, if you're not really much of a knife user and you're more of a collector, then it might not matter to you. But for somebody who enjoys your knives, enjoys using your knives, and sometimes gets nicks and dings in your knives, or even somebody who just loves the passion of knives so much that they want to get on that next level and sharpen. And if you don't want to get into it at all and you just want to send your knife to me to sharpen, that's awesome too. Because I'm more than happy to do it, and I don't hold it against anybody that just can't figure it out. They can't, but, and also it does take time to get it down, especially if you're trying to get it down to a point to where your angles are perfect and you're just doing an incredible job. It does take a little while to get it, but you can't learn without putting your blade on the stone and going to town. Like, it's just the way it is. kind of like explaining to a kid how to ride a bike. You know, you can explain all day, but they're never going to learn until they ride their bike. Or start doing it, I should say. Now, the context matters. So, anytime you're trying to make a decision about, like, say, what type of blade do you, what type of blade shape is your favorite? What type of blade shape works best for you? Now, you probably already know which one you like the most. And you probably have one you don't like at all. I guarantee there's probably a blade shape out there that you respect. And it's not that you don't like it. It's just it's not for you. But to somebody else, that would probably be the one that they would recommend to you. Because it's what works for them. But that doesn't mean it works for you. So there's so many great knives out here and so many beautiful knife designs and materials. There's some like Kara. There's some knives out there that could be the best knife in the world, but she won't touch it just because of the finish. You know, she has a thing with textures. Like even this knife. This knife drove her nuts when we first got it. Now it's smoothened out because from using it, like it's not as powdery. But at first it felt like kind of like a Sabenza. Like it had like a powdery, rough texture. Now it's good. But at first, she wouldn't touch it. She'd grab it and throw it. No, I'm not touching that thing. But, you know, she's crazy. She's got a texture problem. But shout out to Alchemy 1 for coming up with this topic. If you are new, remember, try to think of what would work for you or what you do. Because each thing is designed for that type of person. Like this knife. I love this knife. This knife's incredible. It's a great, great knife. But it's just not for me. Because it doesn't lock. And it's a double detent knife. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's amazing. And I think a lot of people could get a lot of use out of this thing. This thing's incredible. What a cool knife. What a cool design and idea. I love it. But it's not for me. Now, it might be for you. So, try to think of the context when you ask a question or when you're trying to figure... Not even when you're trying to ask a question, but when you're trying to figure something out. With anything in the, the knife community, context always matters. And I love you guys. And that's about it. I just felt like having a little ramble about this subject myself. See you guys later. Peace.